Okay, welcome back everybody to We Are Aquarius. I'm Frank. That's Brad over there. We were just talking about Kyle Rittenhouse a bit and kind of what's going on with this. He didn't really see the thing. I've watched pretty much most of the trial to like the middle beginning to the very end. So honestly, guy from my perspective, totally innocent, completely self-defense. And some people will be like, well, you don't bring a gun to a riot, or they say it's a protest, but things are burning down. It's a riot.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
well,
just the way
thank
it
goodness
is.
he did. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, he prevented more catastrophe.
It
The
he
Black Lives Matter movement should be happy that their name doesn't get tarnished by some pedophile who was trying to blow up a gas station, possibly.
That's the thing they don't talk about. He could have blown up a gas station with hundreds of people there, and some black people could have died, and be like, look at what happened.
I know,
If Kyle
but
wasn't
it's
there, you could be dead. You don't even know.
and it would have been such a great thing. Maybe that guy was planted. Maybe that's why this whole thing blew up to such proportion. Maybe he was planted there to try to cause it to catastrophe and then
Hmm.
get pinned for it. And they would say, "Look at this sicko," and he probably would have been like, "Long live white people, pay me my money."
Yeah, look at
You
what he
know?
was saying. He was like, come shoot me, N word, come shoot me, N word.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the hard R, but it was still like he convicted pedophile getting pushed around. This guy was a psycho guy, and he wanted attention. And it seems to me like even with the people that are still like defending this guy and defending this stuff are kind of psychotic in a way. Maybe they're psychos themselves because I mean they didn't even
I
look at the
mean,
trial.
I feel like never hope you're in the same situation where somebody just comes up and just starts hitting you, and then you decide to defend back, and then all of a sudden you start realizing you winning and you can, stop them. And then, I mean, like, I don't know. It's just, and then everyone's just like, well, you're going to jail for fighting that person. You beat them, and they're like, they hurt me, and you're like, but they started it. And it's like, well, that's not how we're gonna go ahead and look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just ridiculous anymore. I mean, that's what I'm saying. But this is what I said about the schools originally. That whole concept of teaching a kid, no, there's zero tolerance in fighting. Well, but what happens if somebody fights it, and then you want to? Is there zero tolerance in defending? Because that's what it
Yeah.
sounds like. Every time you defend yourself, I
Yeah.
remember back in school all the time. I try to defend myself, and the teachers would be like, "Oh, you're fighting," and I'm like, "No, I was not fighting." And it's like, "No, zero tolerance." So why are we teaching our schools to be like communisms?
Because that's
And
what they
and
want as the end
and
goal.
like we want
That's the
to, oh,
thing.
you can get out to freedom or something like that. I'm not quite sure.
Why do you think our grandparents were so angry at us anytime we do anything that was slightly communistic in a way? They were so angry with us because they're like, that's communism. And they were angry about it because we've had wars over this. And people have tried to push communism to the point that we realize it doesn't fucking work. There is no new communism works now because I
But I've
am
seen
I'm a good guy,
you see I saw this video the other day though where somebody was in a he had a religious exemption. I don't even know if that's a thing, to be honest. But he says like, "Are you guys all in the like a whole restaurant? Are you guys all okay with this? This kind of like separation?" He's like, and like two different tables were like, "Yeah." And I'm just thinking
Jeez.
like really? Like you guys are just like, "Oh, when it comes to my health." You know what I mean? Like this is the same difference as the lepers. And remember where Jesus went? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you
Jesus
can't
didn't.
fear people. I mean, that's like you are the person to be afraid of. When you
Bec-
start fearing other people, or that
mhm.
you're the zombie.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like Jesus went to the lepers. He was around that stuff. He wasn't afraid. And the thing is, like you look back in Germany and stuff, and they were afraid of the Jews because they thought they had typhoid. So they had to lock them up, put them away, and they just ended up executing them, just because of war crimes and other things like that. Forced medical procedures is a part of the Nuremberg Code. That's why we don't do it. That's why it's being ruled unconstitutional. That's why OSHA ruled it unconstitutional, or they're just pushing it away right now for that kind of thing. And this is something that a lot of people have to get through their fucking skull. It's unconstitutional to push any kind of drug of any kind of thing into a person at any point in time just because you think it's better for you. It could change the formula could change at some point, and it could be even more deadly than you thought before. It could be a new thing come out because of some tyrant. They're like, now everybody just regulated this stuff all the time, and now everybody knows it's bad for you, but because you put it into law beforehand, everybody has to take it. This is the kind of stuff that people don't understand. You're making a precedent for something that could be absolutely horrible in the future. Even if it's not horrible now, it could be horrible in the future, and you're just going like, let's let the train ride.
But again, it all just keeps coming back to this thing that people they keep thinking it's better to not dot your I's and cross your T's if we can save lives. Saving lives. Skip what we need to do so we can save lives. And that right there is possibly the most ignorant thing you can do. I mean, you do not know what you're doing when you don't decide to cross your T's and dot your I's.
Because look at what's happening with this. Like
I mean, look,
the kids on trial.
why do you think that old, vaccines took years and years and years and years and years to develop
To
and
make sure that they were safe.
make sure they were going to be safe, and still to this day they're like, well, there were still problems, long terms. We still found out problems. So nothing that the humanity has ever done. I mean, like literally, think, what has humanity done that is like right? And we can't even say the pyramids, because for all we know, God's built the pyramids. Like, we don't even know where they came from.
Or aliens built them, and it wasn't even human.
I
So
even say that, like, I think
you-
Leo built the pyramids. So I mean, like,
you can't, yeah, gods or aliens or something. I don't think it's human.
it's
Like people talk about that. They're like, well, they just banged on rocks for like 1,000 years. Yeah, 1,000 years of banging on rocks. Here's the thing, and I gotta let you know.
Nobody's doing that.
I gotta let you know, Brad, and everybody else is out there. What kind of leader in their right mind would want a project to be done within 1,000 years? Wouldn't he want it to be done in his lifetime at some point?
You think?
You know,
You think you
and
start
not
being
be
like,
done
can
like
we cut
later?
some corner? Because that's what people do.
So the fact is, nobody would make a project start that they couldn't finish by seeing in their lifetime, at least halfway through their lifetime. They would never do it because it would make no sense. It had to be done by some kind of some other kind of force. But besides that, man, it's just like we look at the society and the way things are right now, and look at a kid's on here. You know what the most messed up thing is? A kid's on trial for self-defense. Alec Baldwin shoots somebody with live ammo. And
Remind me of something, I'll tell you.
oh, it's just the armorer's fault. And he's just walking around free, right? Nothing's happening to him.
Look, there's this video of Alec Baldwin
just,
now he's going, I uh, I just, he can't even like get this out. Like, he says like 6 times, right? And someone goes, nah. He's just rehearsing for playing Biden in the new movie. So good. Like, just like nailed it the way I butchered it. Even the way the guy said it was even better than what I said, but just like nailed the whole concept.
Yeah, man, but look at how messed up it is, dude. Like with the weirdness of it. Alec Baldwin is an anti-gun owner kind of guy.
Yeah.
Pushing against all this stuff. He says in his, or at least from what I've read, he said
He
that what if I just shoot you both or something like to that degree, lines them up and then shoots them with a gun, and then it's the armorer's fault. What if you just had a bullet in your pocket and you switched it out? I mean, I don't know, but what if he had planned to kill this person, and he just does it, and people just go and say,
you see, this is why we need to get rid of guns. Because I didn't even know if there was no guns, I would have never happened.
Look up some of the quotes that Alec Baldwin had to say, and you will laugh your ass off compared to what he had to do. And then you look at Kyle, and in a weird way, you could almost like they're both Kyle and Alec.
They're connected. They're clearly connected. This happens.
You could almost reverse the name. It almost would sound the same way.
It's like in poker. If you have pockets, someone else has pockets, and if you don't have the pocket rockets, you're screwed because they got them. Like, they got them. If you got like pocket eights, somebody's got the pocket aces already.
Possibly. Yeah. It just the thing is, like, with the way the trial went, he put out a fire that angered an arsonist who was also a pedophile. People don't want to say that because they don't want it to be a part.
Pedophile, but in the past.
And so then the pedophile later on sees him, chases after him. What normal, rational person chases after a guy with a gun? Nobody. Unless they want to get shot or they want to tackle the guy to the ground, steal their gun, or kill the person with the gun. Nobody does that. There's not a single person. There's not a single logical
Well, what do
person
you?
out there that
Let me
does
ask
that.
you this: if you have a gun and somebody starts chasing after you, what are you supposed to do? I
Well,
mean, are you supposed to try to bunt fuck him in the face? Like
you could bash him in the face. The
you
thing
could
is,
try
like,
that,
the prosecutor argued,
but
like, oh, he shot him four
you've
times.
given up your main point of having a gun if you choose to turn it the opposite direction. That's
Yeah,
like
there's no, but you
Rurouni
might as well
Kenshin
have a
right there.
bat. You might as well have a bat or a stick or, a boxing, brass knuckles would work just the same. But the thing is,
You hear?
here's the thing the prosecutor did that I didn't even see in the trial. If you grab a gun, let's say I had a gun, Brad, you grab my gun, you're pulling on the barrel, you're pulling on my fingers, all of my fingers. So you're pulling on my fingers, you're pulling my trigger you're actually pulling the trigger yourself because I don't want to let you have it, so I'm pulling back, and so my finger is also pulling back while you're pulling towards yourself, and so you can shoot yourself that way. Why was that not argued? Why was that not argued? Because if the guy's going jerking the gun, he's also jerking my trigger finger to go. Why was that not argued? I don't know why, but that's a logical thing to actually argue. Other thing, it just
I guess it didn't matter though.
it's like
I guess it did because it didn't need to be.
that's just the thing. If someone's gonna grab something you're holding, you're gonna pull back. They're gonna pull forward, and if the finger's on the trigger already, well, guess what? The bullet's gonna go towards you because you're pulling on my gun. It doesn't matter if I got a pistol, an assault rifle, a fucking bazooka. You're gonna shoot that load off into
I just
yourself by pulling
I
on a
just
damn
don't
gun.
understand, like, why is it so related? I saw a lot of things about the Black Lives Matter movement, so annoyed about this whole thing. I mean, again, it was a convicted pedophile. Like, why are you?
It's like, oh well, because he was trying, because that's the thing that they want to do. They're angry that they didn't get to do as much destruction as they could have because he put out the fires. That's what they're really angry about. They're not protesting for
I'm
Black
just
Lives
not
Matter.
sure
They're
if he put
protesting
up.
for destruction, and they didn't even go after the places that they said they want. They wanted to fund the police. Did they go after the police? No, they went after local mom and pop shops. How does that have anything to do with Black Lives Matter? Going after your fellow neighbors? You're just pissing off other people. What the fuck does that have anything to do with Black Lives Matter? Seriously. It doesn't have anything to do with it. It's
Well,
just a
someone even
stupid,
said
stupid
someone.
thing from stupid people that don't know what the hell
I
is
mean,
going on in
listen to
life.
Jen Psaki. She's like, I'm not going to make any kind of comments, but we clearly don't want vigilantes running around. And it's like, now
Yeah.
so you made a comment. Like, what do you like? You, I'm not like I'm. I guess I'm just saying like a lot of these Democrats are really stupid because they think the average person's stupid. Look, I didn't need to go to crazy amounts of school or do all this kind of stuff and all that. I'm just saying, like, I live a simple life. I like a simple life, but I can certainly see when somebody's trying to just jerk me.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? When I hear things like it's not going to cost you anything, but I see everywhere prices going up, and everybody's going to be like, oh, Trump messed all this up in the 4 years that he's in office. What? When would he have been able during all that time when you guys were impeaching him and
All the
flipping out
time
on
when
him?
we were having prosperity.
I mean, I
Yeah.
mean,
Right. Huh?
that no, that was all everything that Obama did because of,
Oh. Okay. It just has a long blown after effect.
and everything's been great. Think about it. No, think about it. Joe Biden's been in office for what 47, 48, 49 years now. And for the last 50 years, everything's just been
No, no,
great.
no, no, no. You're
It's just been
hold
getting
on, hold on.
great, and
I
it's
got
just getting greater. And then Trump came in
Brad.
and he just tried to take the
Brad.
cake.
Brad. You're wrong. You're just dead wrong. He's been in office for
Okay.
200 years. He said it himself.
200 years.
200 years. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I just had to clarify it, make sure that everybody knew the right truth about it. Okay, I'm
Oh man.
BSing. He did literally. Didn't he say that? I've been in office for 200 years.
He said a lot of weird things. I mean, honestly, like I don't, you know what I
And he
mean?
keeps
Like,
saying weird things. And he keeps spelling kids too. It's almost like he's draining their life force to keep himself alive, like a vampire.
so weird. It's like it's been a while since people seen a video of me touching kids and just look at them. Your hair. I whisper to you, oh, boy, come closer.
No, no, I did see a video of he was at a funeral and he was like holding a nephew or something like that and giving a hug or something like that. Like I can understand. And I've seen other people complain about like, look at this creepy guy doing this sort of thing. I look at everything and I try to understand where the context is first before I make a judgment and before I say something. So it's like, okay, kind of makes sense. He's just giving a nephew a hug because somebody passed away. Make that make sense. But when he's just creeping up on a kid, in front of a TV screen is going to start smelling them before they're going to make a stay. I mean, that is the whole different thing, and we've seen plenty of evidence of that.
I saw this one guy type something, and I'll probably butcher this too, but he said, imagine just getting a colonoscopy and then getting questioned if you're still full of shit and having to answer yes. I
You
thought
want
that
me to
was
show you the
so
pictures or just?
I
Oh man, that's pretty
thought
good,
it
dude.
was so great. I was like, dude, perfect. Like, I mean, like, it's so weird. Like, come on for like a couple hours, just like, thank you for letting me have this great honor of the fate of the country. It's like, do you not understand? The citizens are the fate of the fucking country. The president's just like the scapegoat. Like, get over yourself, lady. You're nothing important. Being the president almost in a sense makes you the least important because you have to be everyone's bitch and voice.
Yeah, you are the biggest public servant for the United States because if people say no to the, but here's the thing. Look
But
look
and
at what
all, I
happened
was gonna
with.
say, and also you have to also like lay down the law. Look what Trump was, and I support, pro-life. I'm pro-life. I'm pro-life. He just said
Mhm.
it to that girl, and because she's like, "Are you gonna say my body, my choice?" And he's like, "No, I'm pro-life." Like you have to take a stand for things. You can't keep a look at Hillary Clinton back in the day. Oh, like making fun of gays, and then later, oh, I support the gays, and this and that's like, you know, you guys all stem from that same party. Why do you think that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree with like crooked politicians like you people? You guys were all in the same beds together and you all talk the same. Look at all these, Fauci and what's that other they with honorable whatever his name is. I can't even think of his name right now. Houston, I don't even know. They cannot they sound like Zuckerberg. They cannot answer questions. And you know why? Because they have a lawyer saying if they ask you anything along this, you just you don't have the
Just
information. You'll have to
deny
get back
it.
to them. We'll
Don't
take
say
care of it
anything.
later.
Just deny.
Don't say you don't even know. You don't know. It's not your department.
Yeah,
And it's like, but they are the overseers of all the departments. So if they don't know, but they're the ones who signed it, then they're held accountable. And if they like that's what I'm saying. Either you give up your shadowy people who are doing shady shit behind the scenes,
yeah,
or you stop allowing yourself to sign papers and getting extra houses
yeah.
and
And
stuff like
and
apartments in New York and stuff like that.
here's what I gotta say even about the Rittenhouse thing too is that the prosecutor was asking a lot of shady things, and halfway along the actually it wasn't halfway along, it was multiple times that the judge was like, no, 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 you can't do that. That's not legal. You can't ask him questions about how he felt when he was like 10 years old or something like that. I can't remember the whole statement that he went over, but it was like you can't ask him questions about his character and his motives beforehand or after. You can't do this post trial questioning about this particular thing because the prosecutor was asking about he wore a shirt that said free as fuck. And apparently that was motive of some kind. It's like I don't even know what the shirt's about really, but the fact is it has nothing to do with the crime that was committed 6 months prior. It has nothing to do with any of that. And the prosecutor was asking all these weird questions. It was almost like I was just imagining the prosecutor asking Kyle, when he was like 10 years old, if he fried some ants with a magnifying glass and asked him later on, it was like, so when's the last time you decided to build a death ray? to commit genocide and stuff like that. It's like I was just imagining the prosecutor just come up with some bullshit, crazy fucking statement to just try to defame the kid and stuff like that. And he's a 17-year-old kid. He's a
Well, it's like
17-year-old kid. It's like,
you can argue, or you can argue the statement all day long. Well, look what happens when you bring a gun into a protest. Somebody's going to get shot and killed. Okay, you're
not
100%
necessarily,
right.
not
Well, no,
necessarily,
it seems
but
like it. It seems like it. But here's the thing. Look what happens when you have a protest. Things seem to burn down, people get shot and killed. Seems to be a reoccurring theme at your protests.
yeah,
So at what point in time is just the Black Lives Matter? I mean, you're owning this. At what point in time are you not held responsible for the fact that your protests caused a lawless act, a
yeah.
felony lawless act, and therefore you should have your protest licenses revoked and all that kind of stuff. You shouldn't be allowed to keep protesting. Yeah, I mean, maybe another group can form, but these leaders up top who are organizing all this, you didn't cross your T's and dot your I's. You made sure that you just allowed people to be out there and get killed. Look, if a bartender serves alcohol to a person and they drive home and get into a car accident, guess who's getting a call? Oh, this person is intoxicated with this much.
Hmm.
You served them that much? They said no, they only came in for one drink. You know what I mean? It's like,
But the
and
person that's
you
getting the
didn't.
DUI is the one that's getting have to pay for all that.
But
The bartender does.
the
The bar.
bartender will get fined. They can get fined big time, even shut down.
I've
You
never
can't
heard of that.
you can't
Maybe in
serve
some states, but I've never heard of that.
you can't serve somebody who's completely intoxicated.
I
You're
guess
not
in some
allowed to.
states you can't, but I guess maybe it's depending upon state and stuff. But
Maybe.
the fact is, like, the person that's the one that's drinking is the one. Like if you bought beer from a store,
But
they can't ask
you're
you
telling
questions
me
as to when you're
if
going to
you
drink it or
if you go to a bar and you're all like, let me get another, and they're like, I think you've had enough.
they
And
will tell that a
you're
lot
like,
of them.
well, I don't really care. And they're like,
A lot
and
of them
then
will
you
tell you, like, hey, let me drive you home, or somebody will try to do that. But some
I
people
mean,
still find a way to get out, and they're like, oh, I'm going out for a smoke, and then they're gone. And then nobody like paid that much attention because
oh, the bars in Pennsylvania, they can get big time trouble for that, even shut down stuff like that.
yeah,
If a guy comes into a liquor shop and he's completely intoxicated,
mhm.
liquor store can't sell him liquor. For
Yeah,
sure now.
I that doesn't seem to happen here. I guess it's why in the past there used to be people that had 14 DUIs still driving around. Um, but it seems to be a little more strict now. The rules and regulations have changed a little bit more into the favor of, against the DWI and all that. So I guess rules are kind of slightly different in some states and all that. And I think, from what your perspective is, I think it's a better call from what you're saying. Um, but that's the thing. Like people argue this whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing with the drunk driving thing. It's like, so you got all these other people with weapons of some kind that could kill you. If you get kicked to the head the right way, it could snap your neck and you could die. You get hit with a skateboard the right way, and the metal thing,
I got kicked in the head and I still like have scars.
you might have a plate in your head. You might if you fall on a coffee table on your living room floor, you could cut your head and bleed out and die.
I mean, what would happen if Kyle had the gun, but he didn't shoot anybody?
And he
And like
just beat people with
no,
it,
he became brain damaged because people beat him to death. And
or
now he's like,
beat him to death.
he's
Then
just a
the media would
vegetable
just
now.
so over ignore it
And the
because
media would,
they don't want to look at that like, oh no, some white people and black people attacked a white guy,
well,
and
they would probably double down. They probably
you
like
know
bring a gun to a protest, and the protest is gonna take out the trash. They would probably, what I
oh
mean, that's
yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying.
But I mean, look at
They
what
wouldn't
happened.
care.
Look at
They
what
don't
happened with
care.
Ashley. Look what happened with Ashley Babbitt, where she was entering a window. She probably shouldn't have gone in there, but she got shot, and people on the left, I seen this on Twitter, salivating, literally like salivating over her death, like relishing it. Like what you're just saying right now, relishing the fact that, oh, it was a Trumper and she was a QAnon and she got what she deserved, and you know, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I've heard that a lot when
But
I
I
saw
don't
that, and it's
understand
just like,
there's many people who are Democrats who still have like want guns. Like I don't understand the goal of the party anymore because you're just dividing yourself. You want people who, clearly don't like this inflation stuff and the taxes, and that's mostly like the Republican and Democratic divide. But now you're dividing the whole rights up of people. But a lot of people are seeing like these groups as like terrorist groups anymore.
and that's the whole thing. Antifa is
It's
a
like
complete terrorist group, and they are a fascist group.
they literally
They
attacked
fight
another
for
group that
fascism,
they
saying they're
attacked.
fighting
I
against
know
it.
they attacked another group who was like actually anti-fascist.
And then they attacked people that were protesting the coronavirus lockdowns. Like they're a full establishment. They are
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
we live in a backwards world where we think this thing is that, but in actuality, it's the opposite. And these people trying to say we're going to protest against Kyle Rittenhouse for getting out. Like for fucking what reason? Did he attack black people? Did he go on a tirade and shoot everybody? No, he only attacked people that attacked him. And he had a gun. If he didn't have a gun, he had a rubber bat. He'd fucking knocked him over with a rubber bat. That's the whole point. Like, here's the basic thing is, you never charge a person with a gun. Anytime a person has a gun, you never run after them and charge them unless you have the intention of taking them down. But the thing is, if you screw up, you could be dead. That's the thing. If
or shot in the bicep.
let's say Kyle wasn't just a protest. Let's say he was a cop, and he was putting out fires just by himself, and the protesters went and did that to be like, look at this black racist, or look at this racist person that's against our BLM stuff. It's like they do the same shit because he has a gun. Doesn't matter what he is, just because he had a gun and because they made the protesters look bad. That's the whole reason. They made the protests look bad. Makes it look even worse than it is because they're already burning everything down.
If Kyle was, and I hate to just always say like, but if Kyle was black in this situation, I feel like
they would call him a white, black supremacist or whatever, just like they did to the governor that was going to take over for
they
Newsom.
would
They
still
do the
they
same
would still
shit.
try to they would still like do the same thing against him.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they wouldn't be able to go from that angle of even the Black Lives Matter angle, but they would still just look at it like, oh, he just wanted to shoot people, and
Yeah.
he saw an opportunity to be able to get away with it, and it's like, you can look at that. Maybe Kyle even said, "Hey, I'll get away with it because I know these people will run at me with a gun. I know they will."
Mm-hmm.
But
and the whole thing is they were trying to make their argument like, oh well, we got this little blurry image of him pointing the gun at some people, and I looked at the image. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I can't even see shit. So here's the thing: if I've got an assault rifle and I'm moving around because I also have an extinguisher with me, I might move the gun around this way or that way while I'm moving stuff around. Does it mean I'm pointing at somebody? No. But the thing is, like, even when I was younger, and I lived in downtown area of major city, and I had some African American kids would come walk up to me when I was watering the lawn.
I like Joe Biden.
And he
They would feel my leg hair.
And they said you popped my brother.
Turn blonde in the sun.
And I was a kid at the time. I don't know. I was like 13, and I'm like, I didn't pop your brother. What the hell are you talking about? I didn't even know what pop meant at the time. Like, you popped my brother. I'm like, no, I did not. And so I turned the hose on because I had the hose because it was like the summertime and we would do super soaker fights with the people on around the block. And I'm like, I did not pop your brother. It's like, yes, you did. I'm like, just turned the hose on and I shot at him. He didn't want to get wet. Most people don't want to get wet. So he walked away very fast because I shot him where his, made him look like he wet his pants. He ran away really fast. I'm just saying, people start shit with me. It's like, I'm just going to end the conversation as quick as I can. If I can't, and I got a hose, I'm going to get you wet. Okay, I know that's a little off topic in that sense, but I'm just like people come up
He
and go,
probably got his brother wet. You caught my brother, man. You caught my brother
I
with that hose.
yeah. The thing is, the kid wanted to
And then
start a
you're like,
conflict.
no, I didn't. And you got him wet too.
My
You
point is,
got everybody wet, bro. It's all your fault.
I got some people wet. Yeah, I have water balloons and shit like that. But I'm just saying, like, and this is inner city stuff, and a lot of people that are talking about this don't know what inner city stuff is like and how it happens. And yeah, maybe if somebody, if they're like, well, he pointed the gun at me, so I chased him. Why would you chase a guy if he even pointed a gun at you? You know what happened in the past when they do drive-by shootings? Do you run after the guy that
Didn't
did the
Grand
drive-by
Theft Auto
shooting?
teach you anything? The people always like, oh no.
Yeah. Do you run after the people that do drive-by shooting? You get in your
Unless
car and you just drive them
unless
to.
you work in Amazon where they tell you
What?
to actually run after the shooter. Don't try to do that.
No. Do you run after a bear? Do you run after a lion? No, you don't do it because it could turn around and maul you to death. You don't run after a shooter. You're because the thing is, they're like, we don't want vigilantes. All these people that were chasing after him apparently would have thought themselves as a vigilante taking down a bad guy, right? So
Yeah.
is Kyle the bad guy? Is he the vigilante? No, he's looked upon as the bad guy because they were the vigilantes. They wanted to stop him. They wanted to stop him. They were the vigilantes.
Because he had a gun.
Yeah, and they thought they could take him down and win some kind of trophy coin
He had
for
a fire
like.
extinguisher with him.
He put it down later and he started running. How are you going to run with a fire extinguisher and a gun away from a bunch of people? You got to choose one or the other.
But they found it. It's in evidence and all that. I didn't watch the
Apparently,
trial.
I guess. Yeah.
Oh, you said you watched the trial.
Well, I don't remember that part of the trial. They went. The thing is, in the trial, they kept talking about the useless things over and over and over again, like the size of the file that they gave him, the clarity of the picture, uh, you know, whether Kyle had full intentions of this since he was a little boy, in his mother's womb, if he wanted to go and shoot people, that just ridiculous, stupid shit that happened for the most part for hours and hours and hours. And I would play games and I just like had it on the side and I was like listening to it. But it's just like, when are you gonna get to the fucking point? Like, most of the time they just like skipped over the basic
Can you just
points.
let this man go already? Like,
It's like this shouldn't even have been a trial. Like they had all the video footage to showcase right off the beginning. It shouldn't even have been a trial at
well,
all.
that's what they were saying. Like the fact that it became a trial, like that's where we're going wrong. Should have never been able to be a trial. There was no direct like evidence. I mean, clearly it was just self-defense.
And they want to put it out there, and that's what the mainstream media wants to do. They want to put it out there because like, look at this and look at that. You didn't even look at it, you stupid asshole. You didn't even look at it. You read the title and you went ahead and you just said, this guy's a mass murderer and he got away with it. No, you looked at the title of an article. You didn't watch a trial. You didn't do any evidence. You didn't research any facts. And then you act like you know everything. But you can see all these media people are just so fucking stupid. And they just go ahead and they just say whatever they can say just so
I
they can
mean,
sound important, just
I've
so they
heard
can
of like
sound like they're against the narrative in some ways, like as if they have a clue.
you
And
can
it's
double down, you can even like triple down. But, like
they tripled down this
what are
one.
they at? They're like sex doubled down, like
Yeah.
triple down it.
There was some
You don't
funny
have any you don't have any more money to give people. Whatever, deck it down it.
they had some funny memes like they were like, well, it's a good thing
Double
that he
down it.
was he was shown innocent, so the judge gave him back his gun to the courthouse and defend the courthouse against the protesters. They show him with a gun outside the truck.
I know. Like,
I saw some pictures of this.
now give this
Of his
back to
gun.
him because he's gonna need it.
I'm just saying, they're like, he came from a different area. He didn't even live there. His dad lives there. If my dad lived in a different state and I went back and forth, then I live here and I live there. Right? If your parents live in another state and you got to cross the border because you're like right next to the border of New York and you got to go over there and you got a little family over here, a little family over there, well, you reside there and you reside here. You know?
Yeah, there's a lot of digging into this guy's personal life.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
And
And
it's not ironic that he looks like Mickey from Shameless a little bit in the younger years.
I haven't seen it.
You ever seen Shameless? Really?
No, no, I haven't seen it.
It was an all right show in the beginning, but then it just got carried away.
You know what this all is? I can tell you what this all is. This is all the media trying to dissuade everybody from understanding what really happened with the riots and burning down people's personal property and being like, hey, you should be okay with that. To the point that some people don't have insurance to cover all that kind of massive damage, to destroy mom and pop shops and local businesses, to try to turn somebody into a target. So you're focused on this target right here. But everything else is going on around behind it you don't see because you're focused on that target. So they can basically kind of come off saying it was just a protest. There were some fires that burned millions and millions of dollars of damage that if you actually go look for these videos, you're going to see it. Like if someone's burning down your town around you, you can just sit there and do nothing? Going to say something? Going to run away? Oh, the police will handle it. I've got insurance.
I know. Had 10 more Kyle Rittenhouses existed, it would have looked a little bit more like 10 people saved the whole house. Like, the Powerpuff Girls over here saving Townsville, and people were trying to be ganging up on them, and all these people are ganging up on them all around like Gotham.
Yeah. It just and that's the whole thing. Like people say, why was a 17-year-old defending a town? Where were all the adults? Why weren't the adults defending the town? Why was one 17-year-old defending the town when adults could have been out there and have done something? We're letting our kids defend our, defend our stuff or look over and kind of being, when the police aren't even there. The police got there as late as they could.
Or concerned citizens,
Yeah. What about the citizens' arrest? What happened to that? What happened to that kind of stuff? What happened to people actually giving a damn and caring about stuff? Because that's not just if someone burns down this thing, the fire could spread to this next thing and into your house. And then what if you were out somewhere, and next door neighbor, had the kid in the bed and the kid burns to death because you weren't concerned about it. It just over there, but fire spread very fucking quick. People don't realize
there was
this.
a Seinfeld episode about this where somebody stole a purse and they just ran right past, and then the police try to arrest Jerry. They're like, you didn't stop him, and he's like, well, I should have stopped him. Like, why would I have stopped him? That it's dangerous. I don't want to get involved. It's not my purse. And he's like, no, I'm writing you a ticket. He's like, you're supposed to stop him. Like, he ran right beside you. And he's like, this is ludicrous. I don't need to help somebody if I don't want to. I don't know, I don't know. It's just funny because it's like the exact opposite of the mask mandate. It's like we're so that's what I'm saying. We're so split as a society, but not down the middle anymore. We're split in more and more angles where it's like if you talk to someone for long enough, you find your disagreement. And can you get over the fact that they don't see that same thing as you? It's like, I can understand how they see this the same as me and this the same as me. Well, obviously, that's how you see things. But how can they not see this? Especially if they see all this. How do they not see that? And it's like, I don't think I can be their friend anymore. They have to meet we have to see everything eye to eye.
All the requirements.
Or
I've got all these requirements now. And I think this what's happening is I think there's I see everything like a big strategic valve in a lot of ways. And I think there's a lot of things higher up that are trying to make us so divided against each other that we won't focus on the prime points of what we should do to fix things, to the point that we're fighting each other all the time. We won't look at the important points. But obviously in something like this, people are burning things down. That doesn't help anybody. That doesn't make you look sympathetic at all. And then when the media is going it was a protest. No, it was a riot and fires, arson.
Why protest when you can just turn that same protest into a double down? Oh, we're not just protesting because people know we're already protesting, but we're going to go ahead and start doing and actively changing things in the community. We're going to double down. We don't need to just walk the streets. We're going to walk the streets with brooms and sweep. And
if that was a thing about the BLM and all that, they were going to clean things up and make things better, I'd be fully on board with it. Fully on board. But the fact is, what they're doing is they're looting, they're rioting, they're burning shit down, and they'll attack anybody that gets in their way to do it. This just tells me these are bad, bad people. And I'm not saying
obviously not all of
I'm
them.
not saying the idea for the BLM was a bad idea initially, but I'm just saying what ended up happening is it turned into a thug mentality. It turned into a gang mob mentality. And that is not something that people even want. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants just the
Except
gangs.
for the mob. But the mob is clearly like outnumbered. You're clearly outnumbered to the basic.
Bad
The
people.
basic person's like, I mean, you're like literally like 1% of the basic population, if even that. Like
Bad people want to go and attack other things. They want to burn things down. They want to get revenge on something for something. And the thing is, like, unless it's like an immediate revenge, you're trying to get revenge for what happened long ago in the past. You know,
I do want to talk about Cowboy Bebop. I don't know if we want to do that in the same episode.
Okay, well, I think we should end it here because we're already at like 40 minutes here. So let's close this out. Then we'll do an episode about that because I don't mind talking about that. But what do you think? What do you think we have to look forward to in the future as far as like what we can do better? As far as like something like this goes, like with the defense trial and stuff.
Like I said, start crossing your T's, dotting your I's. Procedure. Kyle, I mean, there should have been some way for people to call the police there and, immediately been like, look, I've called the police, I'm at this point, I need to make some kind of, citizen's halt. I don't think that's a thing, but I'm saying like, I'm not going to arrest you because I can't say that I know exactly what happened in this situation, but I don't want you to leave the premises because I, as an acting citizen, I'm not going to say that you have to relinquish your weapon to me, nor am I going to tell you to put it on the floor. I'm just going to ask you to not point it at anybody. At this point, I'm a witness. I'm praying you don't kill me. But from what I saw from the angle, it doesn't seem like you're actively trying to shoot anybody. So, but that's what I mean. That's a lot to put on somebody. But the idea of just chasing after him and trying to beat him down, that's clearly not going to help the situation. Even in the end,
if they killed him, they would have been. No, let's say they didn't. Worse.
Let's say they didn't. In the end, you could have done that. Kyle would have still been found innocent, and all of you people would have been found guilty for beating him.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because Kyle shot a person that was complete. Now, maybe that wouldn't have happened. Maybe he would have been killed, like you said. But if the point was just to render him unconscious and wait until authorities arrived,
that's a hard thing to do because not everybody could judge whether you're hitting with force to kill or force to knock unconscious. Not everybody would have the understanding to know that kind of strength. And for a mob to chase after you with that, maybe that's their mentality, but you'd have to have a slight % chance that maybe they would knock you unconscious and not do anything more to you. You'd have to hope for that. It would just be a hope. But, yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Definitely, if you like this video, subscribe and like and all that. We're going to go on to our next episode here. So thanks for coming by, and we'll see you later.